The indie gaming scene has experienced an explosive resurgence in recent decades, and the return to basics, particularly to retro nostalgic aesthetics, played a significant role in capturing the attention of gamers. But certain indie games went so far above and beyond, crafting experiences that are fondly remembered today by millions. So, here are 23 pixel art games that did exactly that. We chose each one carefully. Whether it's the nostalgia or just the incredibly addictive visual style, these pixel art games offer something special that keeps you coming back. Let's kick things off with this 2015 pixel art game, Undertale, a game that absolutely blew people's minds and took the gaming world by storm back when it was released. I can't believe it's been that long at this point. It feels like just yesterday that I really sat down with this thing. Undertale, at its core, is this quirky, cool RPG where you play as a child who falls into the underground, a world inhabited by like really cute but unusual monsters. Does it bother you that I call this game an RPG? Well, that's how it is. Anyway, what's cool about this RPG though is that your choices affect the story like way more than usual in an RPG. You can choose to make friends with the enemies or fight them, and these decisions lead to different endings. Like, they're really big endings too, not just changes in cutscenes. It's a really unique game with a really unique sensibility. If you don't know much about it, just see it for yourself. It's a short game, but it's got a lot going on, way more than meets the eye, kind of like the pixel art style. It's all very minimal, but it really works. The story's heartfelt, there's an incredible amount of writing here, and it knows how to be deep while also being really charming and really funny. Next, over at number 22, we have Celeste, a challenging platformer, but one of those games that it's just such a blast to play. It hooks you, it doesn't let you feel like you're getting over pissed off at it. I mean, you might, I'm not saying everyone doesn't. But this is a game where you control Madeline and you climb the eponymous Celeste mountain. What's cool about it is that it's kind of like just a simple platformer at its core, but the way it works, the precision of the way the jumps and dashes work, all combining, like every level having their own little mechanic that they throw in that makes it just brilliantly fun. And the way that it captures you, it goes into some really interesting territory that some games don't. Like, this game really actually tackles mental health issues, anxiety, self-discovery, stuff like that in surprisingly interesting ways. Like, you look at these old school, beautiful pixel graphics, which are awesome. It all looks classic and cool, but underneath it, it has a really good story. Madeline is a really well-developed protagonist, but also, at the heart of it, it's just a solid freaking platformer. And I mean solid. This is like one of the best in a long time to some people. I know reviews and scores weren't lying at the time the game came out, and now there's even more supporting content and stuff to dive into. Celeste is amazing. Next, over at number 21, we have Eastward. Eastward is an action-adventure RPG thing where you switch between characters and abilities and you beat people up with pots and you shoot things with guns. It is a really unique, almost Zelda-inspired game, and it's just absolutely filled with unique characters in this really distinct pixel art style. It also takes place in an absolutely gorgeous world. Like, the game just looks incredible. But essentially, the base of it is you get to play and explore around as John and Sam. He's a worker in some like underground town type thing. Actually, don't even let me describe the game because it kind of gets into some spoilery stuff that you should go into blind, but it's cool if you look at it for a second. It's got all of the trappings you want from games like this, and the pixel art just really, really helps it stand out above the pack. But it's also got that kind of hardcore, emotional, down and dirty story that you can only really get from like classic Japanese RPGs. Fans of games like that, I think, saw this coming from a mile away and adored it. Newer gamers, people that are just fans of adventure kind of games, were turned on to it, and it did not disappoint. This is a really unique one that really sticks with you. Next, over at number 20, we have Hyper Light Drifter, one of my personal favorite games of all time. What is it? It's hard to kind of describe it. I guess a top-down adventure, shooter-ish game. You're a character with a gun shooting, slashing a sword, and stuff like that. You're an unnamed character just really called the Drifter, and he's on a quest to find technology to cure a mysterious illness that is slowly killing him. And along the way, you vibrantly and violently explore these really just strange, unique environments. And it's for a game that has a totally, at first glance, seemingly generic pixel art vibe. It's actually kind of unlike everything else. The game consists of no real dialogue or words. It's very interpretive. And if you're paying attention, there's actually a really disturbing but also really beautiful story going on here. Hyper Light Drifter is one of those games that would have made you believe that people trying to make games in the vision of old school games, like an indie game creating with pixel art, could actually turn out something better than what inspired it. Hyper Light Drifter feels like an old school SNES classic, but taken to a whole other level and just doing its own thing. The game at a base level just plays super tight, it's super fun to dash around and shoot things, but it's also just really rewarding to play through to the end and really experience for yourself. Coming up next, over at number 19, we have a very new game, and it kind of inspired this list. We have Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is one of those games where it's a love letter to old school RPGs. It is very much trying to be an old school, classic Japanese style role-playing game in the vision of games like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, stuff like that. But it's taking that and absolutely just like modernizing it, technicoloring it, however you want to say it, because the pixel art here is absolutely incredible. But not only that, the game itself is badass. It's on all the consoles, it's on PC, it's on Game Pass, definitely worth jumping in. But this is just a classic RPG adventure where you have two children of the solstice, Valerie and Zaylee, and they have, powers, and their goal is to stop some sinister force that is threatening the whole world. Very simple old school story stuff, but it's a good, stellar game with a good, colorful cast of characters, a really interesting world, and a good, they kind of stripped away some of the older stuff, but still kept it old school enough to make the combat work, make the challenge work, stuff like that. This game really is both a look forward and a look back. And like I said, it is just absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. Next on the list, we have Omori. This is a strange psychological horror game played with old-school, simplistic, turn-based RPG combat. Again, this is another one of those games where it's deceptive with how it looks. I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. Some of it is cute, some of it is strange. For some people, it takes a little getting used to at first, but it's one of those ones that's deceptive and has themes about grief, regret, self-isolation, and stuff like that. But you play as a character named Sunny in both this dream world and a real world, piecing together the story and learning about the tragic backstory. It's not all super heavy-handed, but it does have a lot to say. It does have a lot of cool stuff to do. And like I said, just memorable things to experience. This is a 2020 game, but I think it stood kind of a bit of a test of time already. I think people still look back fondly upon it as a really unique thing. Of course, it's an amalgamation of a bunch of things you've played before, but it puts it all together in a totally unique package with a ton of heart behind it. I got to admit, the pixel art on top of the combat system is very simplistic, but that's the point. The game's style shifts, it changes and turns into all these weird things that you really kind of have to experience for yourself. Next, over at number 17, we have Inmost. This is a narrative puzzle platformer. And if you want to know the details, it's about a young girl in her house, a guy exploring some strange area, and a night in a desolate land. And the stories play out separately, but it all connects. The reason we're talking about this one here, we picked some strange ones for this list, but this is one that really makes an impact and it really kind of sticks with you. Might be a little short at 4 to 5 hours gameplay time, but it really just kind of weaves a story about sacrifice, like self-sacrifice and grief and stuff, all without really saying a word. And the pixel art here is really key. It's freakishly detailed. The way they play with light and dark, shadow, and all of this is just amazing. Some of it feels like super high-end PC type stuff, absolutely gorgeous animations that then just sometimes scales out and turns into these big epic set pieces. It's really cool how they kind of manipulate everything here. For some people, it was a little jarring, maybe a little too much, a little all over the place. But if it works for you, it really works. This is a game that a lot of people I recommended it to did really enjoy. Coming in next, over at number 16, we have Katana ZERO, a neon-soaked thrill ride, an action platformer game where you play as a samurai assassin dude with just a badass trench coat on, who slices up enemies with a sword and goes through different levels in really just unique ways. You can slow down time, deflect bullets, do all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, you only have one hit, so it's a lot of trial and error stuff. Can be kind of frustrating at times, but I'll take a little bit of that with this game's absolutely just smooth, buttery fun, the crazy way the story unfolds and how it's all delivered. It's just cool. It's just one of these games. All the levels just straight up look cool. The pixel art here is striking, the enemy designs are really interesting, and it's honestly just a different way to do a samurai game. We've seen a million of those before, and this is something truly different. You can kind of make some decisions, branching dialogue, stuff like that. You could deal with different characters on different ways, but that's kind of where I'm going to leave everything here. Sure, there's been other games around this time where it's like a side-scrolling, twitchy, fast-paced action thing, but Katana ZERO really made waves. You probably notice and remember it just from the way it splashed character all over the place, and absolutely just stunning, awesome graphics. Up next, we have Fez, a classic one here. Thankfully, it's still around and playable on current consoles and, of course, on PC. But if you're a younger gamer and you haven't experienced it, definitely check it out. This game is a platformer, but it has a really unique spin. It's got a lot of tricks up its sleeve, and it's just got a lot more deep, old-school 90s gaming type stuff going on than I expected. I expected this game when it first released to just be kind of like a cute little romp, but it's much more. You play as the character Gomez, a little cute guy in a fez who just has to navigate the world by spinning this strange world around, shifting perspectives, using the platforming, moving objects, stuff like that. I don't know how better to describe it, but like I said, it's much more than meets the eye. The soundtrack is very immersive. The world, while kind of a little, well, you know, what you're seeing right here is kind of simplistic in some ways. It's also complex and kind of creates mystery in your head. It's one of those games where once you finish it, you're left sitting idle with the controller, staring at the TV, just thinking about it. Fez is one of those just kind of all-timer games. Like, yes, there are some people that don't like it, but it is an extremely inventive game that absolutely looks great. Next, over at number 14, we have Stardew Valley. Pixel art games aren't always super intense, emotional narratives. Well, at least not in the way we've been talking about. In a game like this, it's more about a slow burn over time. Well, what is the game? Well, it's a farming game. You inherit your grandfather's just crappy old farm, and you move away from the big bad city to go live there, live off the land, and you restore the farm and just kind of get involved with the town and all the people. You know, there's fishing, there's farming, there's exploring, there's combat, all kinds of different things here. It's essentially a bit of a Harvest Moon game. It's a Harvest Moon inspired type thing. But unlike Harvest Moon where you just kind of talk to people and everything just seemed like so surface level, Stardew Valley actually has stuff going on. It's got a unique, quirky, and interesting cast of characters, and while it's not super deep, there's more subplots and things going on between the people than you would expect in a game like this. Hell, even the character creation screen is way more detailed than you would expect from a game like this. And with all this supporting stuff here and a beautiful, serene, pixelated world to farm in, it just makes for a really relaxing, fun game to play. But like I said, also, if you're looking for some slower, subtle, emotional highs, it's got that too. It's the type of thing that sticks with you with its super memorable sunshine and good time soundtrack and just world to live in and hang out.
Great inferno to swift the land.
Next, over at number 13, we have Octopath Traveler. You can't have a pixel art games list like this without it here. Whether we're talking Octopath Traveler 1 or 2, there's a lot to sink your teeth into, and it's one of those games that absolutely sticks with you. Despite looking old school, it is a newer, modern, traditional JRPG, complete with its own unique HD 2D art style. And essentially, in these games, you choose your main character at the beginning, and then the game goes on from there. You know, you could pick from 8 different characters with 8 different unique dominant abilities and stories. And of course, as the game goes on, if you're a role-playing game fan, you know, eventually those stories intertwine and just deepen. There's a lot of deep emotional highs and good storytelling here. But honestly, the main reason I'm bringing it up is just that it is an all-around great game. Whether you're just playing for the gameplay or the story, or both, which is how I play it. You know, it's got an incredible job system, a fun world to explore, really ingeniously designed, interesting, deep combat that kind of makes role-playing games fresh all over again. Just everything about these games are good, and they're built with heart. It's one of those things that really sticks with you. Next up at number 12, we have a very personal choice, and I know a lot of other people probably have this as one too. This one is a very, very sweet game, and it's called Unpacking. At first, it might seem a little thin, you just move into rooms or move into houses and unpack boxes, gently, slowly, and carefully, and putting all the items where you want them. Sounds simple, sounds like you get over it, but no. There's just something really, really satisfying about it. And it makes you keep going because every stage, every scenario, every new room, every new house you move into, whatever, tells a simple story about the main character's life who you never actually see. But you see where she's lived at every major step in her life just by the way each location is designed, each home. And it's told in such a clever way, in one of those show don't tell ways that video games are really, really good at. It seems like a simple game, but it's very, very unique. And while there might not be a ton to talk about, it is just a beautiful, great, charming game that just kind of says a lot about living, being alive, love, and losing love, and all that stuff. It's something you're gonna play, and you're just gonna think about for a long time. And the pixel art isn't like crazy detail or anything, but the way it's designed is so meticulous that everything has its own kind of personality. You know what I mean? It's like the Sims games where you kind of know exactly what all the objects are. It's like that. Unpacking is really great. You could play it on pretty much everything. It originally released in 2021, but since it's just kind of slowly been trickling onto everything, and for good reason. This is a really special one that, like I said, you're going to be thinking about. Next at number 11, we have CrossCode, originally released in 2018. This has slowly trickled on to pretty much everything by now, so there's quite a few options to play it. But CrossCode is an action RPG that at first glance is one of those games that is very clearly inspired by a lot of things. But I think what is keeping it and what's kept it and why we're talking about it now is that it is it on its own thing and it on its own good thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's really fun with a great story. The basic, very, very dry synopsis is that you play as a character called Leah, and she's actually a silent protagonist in this. She's a player in an MMO, a game that actually suffers from amnesia, and doesn't know why she's in this MMO thing or why she can't speak. And she needs to, discover this, solve the mystery. And then from there, it just becomes a really fun, old-school romp with uncovering interesting mysteries, learning about the main character, stuff like that. The pixel art here is just second to none. Not only is it old school and unique and just really well crafted, but it's one of the more colorful games on this list. This game just glows and it just really invites you into this world, so it keeps you engaged and ready to go into it. Fans of old school JRPGs have probably played this game by now, but we're also recommending it because it's just a damn good game. Next, over at number 10, we have Moonlighter. Moonlighter is an unusual action RPG on this list because essentially you basically play as a shopkeeper who kind of leads a double life, the adventuring life. In this game, during the day, you are just the town merchant selling things, keeping your shop running, and customizing it, stuff like that. But at night, you're an adventurous dungeon knight explorer character. This is all done looking really cute and charming with a beautiful pixel art style. It's got the old school isometric thing going on, and it just looks great. It's funny because in the game, you're not supposed to be out adventuring at night. Like I said, it's kind of like a classic game trope. But it's funny because the game makes adventuring like side stuff, otherworldly stuff, like usually the main character thing. That's the side stuff here. That's what makes this game interesting and compelling. There's a lot to tackle, both with the adventuring gameplay and the town merchant gameplay. Completely different worlds. And both, like I said, look absolutely great and work. And if you like games like this, it's a great adventure. It's really, really unique. Coming in next, we have Shovel Knight. This had to come up here eventually. It's a goddamn classic here. This is the old school retro platformer. And also, we're specifically talking Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, being the whole complete collection. If you buy that game, you get the base journey of the Shovel Knight on his quest to defeat the nefarious order of No Quarter and the Enchantress, whatever. But then also the structure to do it. That's a classic 2D side-scrolling old school game. It doesn't get any better than this. It's honestly just a great, classic, good, complete Vision game. But they're also talking about the Treasure Trove edition because it includes all of the expansions as well, which are great and are like whole, complete games in their own right. Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows, where you play as Plague Knight. Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment, where you play as Spectre Knight. They're all very clearly ripping off other video game characters, but who cares? They're a blast to play as. And then what's even cooler is with Shovel Knight King of Cards, you play as King Knight, and it kind of turns things on its head. You're a radically different acting character with new mechanics, but you're also exploring the world and playing an actual in-game card game, which is just so good and fun and additive. This entire package is absolutely incredible and really sticks with you. Again, thanks to classic, just top-notch, good, I got to say it again, good pixel art style. Up next, we have Owlboy. This game also kind of speaks for itself if you can see it. We're talking pixel art games, and this has some of the best pixel art in the game. I mean, look at it. It's also one of those games that was notoriously in development for a really long time, and when it released, it didn't really disappoint. This is a simple game. A simple but beautiful, elegant, great game. It's essentially a platformer game, but there's a lot more to it. And I mean, like, way more. On the surface, you play as an owlman named Otis, and you're trying to save your cloudy sky village from pirates. And it's essentially kind of like an open-ended world you explore with various levels and towns, and you solve puzzles and you pick up weapons. Sometimes, really, you're just picking up dudes to shoot things. You platform, you traverse, but you're kind of flying around, and the world is just so incredibly detailed and awesome. And the storyline surprisingly actually has some emotional beats to it, maybe some things that touch on things like maybe a little bit around anxiety. Again, that's just kind of an interpretive thing I had, but the main thing is just that Otis is a great, adorable, cute little protagonist. He's very memorable, and so is this game. This is just one of those beautiful, tightly made games that if you like Metroid-style stuff, you like platformers, you've played games before, you should check this out because it's just really cool. There's nothing else like it, and it's beautiful. Next, at number 7, we have Cosmic Star Heroine. We slipped this one in here because it's got a lot of things that we like, so bear with me. This is a bit of a stretch, but I think this is worth talking about. It's essentially just an old-school role-playing game, and I mean old school. This is illustrated if you see it, very much SNES, Sega Genesis, Sega CD-style role-playing game music. And it's funny I mentioned that because the pedigree of this game, the company, the creators working on this game, actually made some of the more interesting indie RPGs years back for Xbox Live Arcade. They made a lot of these weird, strange, fun, left-of-center indie RPGs, if you guys remember those, and they eventually moved on to do this, which could probably be regarded as one of their bigger hits. The reason we're talking about this one here is not necessarily that you're going to be left on the floor crying when you finish the game because it's super meaningful. It is really good and interesting, and it has a lot canonically going on. But it's also something that calls back to a lot of things that you grew up loving and kind of just re-envisions them, but also honors them in a good way. All with its own good, unique, interesting, vibrant pixel art style. Full transparency, you also gotta be patient. It's a little slow from the jump. You know, whether or not that's because they wanted to do an old school RPG holistically, or whether or not it's just because, you know, this is an indie studio, they don't have all the money in the world. If you're patient, you're going to find a really great adventure here with a lot of cool, unique ideas. Like every character in the game kind of plays like a different Final Fantasy template or RPG template. It's pretty cool. Also of note, I particularly like the in-game music, which makes Cosmic Star Heroine even better. Now over at number 6, we have Lisa the Painful. This is a dark, nihilistic, post-apocalyptic RPG. It is not for everyone, but for the people it's for, it is absolutely 100% for them. It is weird, it is strange, it is very compelling, and the way it uses old school style graphics is really, really clever. It's almost like South Park quality, like paper cutout style characters. They're like stick figure mannequins, but somehow this actually works, and there's less realism, so there's more left up to the mind to interpret here. The world is absolutely wrecked, it looks terrible, the music is strange, and essentially it's just about a dude named Brad traversing his final days. It's dark, it's sad, like I said, it's kind of a bummer, but the pixel art landscape here is incredible. It's really well done. The overall themes are pretty good as long as you can stomach them. And it's also made a little bit better. We're not gonna go into spoilers or anything, but as the game progresses, you get him and like a scribbly, scrawny band of heroes, and the story gets deeper, the exploration gets more interesting. Depending on certain things you do, it just keeps getting better and better. Some people are going to bounce off this game immediately just because of how it looks, but those people would be making a bad decision because, like I said, the art style here is simplistic, but it is intentional, and it works. Next on the list, we have To the Moon. It's not super long, and it also doesn't have much gameplay. Really, the only thing you're doing is sometimes exploring areas and solving some really simple puzzles, but it's more about the story experience. Yeah, something you would think that would be really cheesy or overwritten or heavy-handed, somehow the story is crafted really intelligently. It's about two doctors altering a man's memories to fulfill his dying wish of going to the moon. It's essentially like Inception, but with heartstrings, and this game has heartstrings. I'm an absolute sucker for this one. Like, I will openly cry thinking about this game. I know, makes me a little bit of a little boy, but To the Moon is an adventure that you should experience with just minimal knowledge. Just go in if you haven't. It's really only like 4 to 5 hours, and for some reason, it's like one of those games that sticks with you for years. You're gonna think about this randomly, whether it's just how good the piano music was or just how bittersweet the story was. Everything about it is really well done. There's also been more from the developers, so if you're looking for something like this exactly when you finish, look up Imposter Factory, which is also worth checking out. But really, this is just one of those games. It's really sentimental, and if you're into that type of thing, well, this is where to find it. Next, over at number 4, we have Coffee Talk. I'm realizing just how much feelings and emotion are on this list. We got some bangers, we got some fun games, but also some sad ones. This one though, you know, Coffee Talk, it's a little bit different. It's not trying to make you cry or something, but it's just kind of got a little bit of sentimentality deep down. Essentially, it's a visual novel game, and the simple way to describe it is really weird, really cheesy, but stick with me. You're a barista, you're running a coffee shop, and you have to deal with and also improve the lives of elves, orcs, and humans in just an alternate universe of Seattle. And it actually drops like weird little subtle subplots about racism and gentrification and stuff like that, but it actually doesn't even like beat you over the head with it or anything like that. You've got like different wanderers coming in the shop and you interact with them, and sometimes you get to actually like really define or shape their lives in the background or with small decisions. Chill is definitely the best way to describe it. There is also Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. Both of these games are absolutely great. If you see anything here that seems compelling, I think you should check them out. It's mostly just reading a lot of dialogue. But sometimes, as the care and attention to detail here, just how much personality the game has and the world it transports you to in any game to just hang out and chill in is a really nice experience that sometimes sticks longer with you than some of the other bigger ones out there. Next on the list at number 3, we have Animal Well, another newer game, but one that made enough of an impact to make it on this list. This is a Metroidvania type game, an exploration game, but it's just got a lot of cool stuff. You're this weird blob-looking thing that you don't really know anything why. You're just in this well, trying to find things to find your way out. And it sounds like it's just another Metroidvania explorable game, but it actually stands out with how everything works. It starts off as, oh, whoa, everything here in this pixel world is just incredibly detailed and intentionally and very purposefully done. But then it's just a really compelling game to explore that presents a lot of challenges, but not combat challenges. Boss encounters, while present, are designed as puzzles to be solved rather than battles to be fought. It's a great look, and also it's got a really unique sound, and also it's got a really unique mystery to it. You don't know what the hell is going on. And the reason we're talking about it on this list is because, yeah, you take all of it, you wrap it all together, and it just makes for a memorable gameplay experience, an adventure that you go through to this journey. Sometimes it takes a game like that to make a bit of an impact. Now down to number 2, it's Chained Echoes. This game is absolutely incredible if you're into old school style RPGs. We've been talking a lot about games of that nature, but this is another one. It's an epic game that takes you in and keeps you engaged. There's a lot of different things you're doing in it. It's not just like you're walking around towns, talking to people, and then exploring dungeons. You're doing a lot of different stuff here. There's a lot of different gameplay mechanics. This game very much feels like a sequel to Chrono Trigger. Suitably top-notch, absolutely incredible pixel art, storytelling that goes between all different characters in this war-torn fantasy world. You're going into towns, meadows, dangerous areas, whatever, on foot, or in a flying mech suit. This game does so many things, I'm kind of not even telling you everything about it and how deep it goes. But really, if you're into the older style stuff, look no further. Chained Echoes, whether you're playing on PC or console, it's absolutely worth your time and money. It's just one of those games that absolutely sticks with you. It's a great experience and it's very fulfilling. Like, This game could be like 40 hours or more, and it is totally worth it. I know we talk about that in like the overaction epic RPGs, the big ones we should play these days. And Chained Echoes is just one of those. And finally, over at number 1, we have Momodora Moonlit Farewell. This is from the recent Momodora game, the 5th and final entry in the series, and probably the most remembered one at this point, mostly because it just released last year. And it's a beautiful throwback game because it's difficult, it's challenging, it knows when to tell a story, and it just looks great. It doesn't look like over-the-top, fancy, crazy pixel detail. It's got just a really good, almost cel-shaded art style, like, you know, back from the old Super Nintendo days. It's got some haunting, dark areas you're exploring, some interesting locations, and fun combat, whether you're shooting, slashing, racking up combos, and sticking it to enemies. Yeah, it's one of those awesome games. It's a joy to play a Metroidvania thanks to just like fluid controls, varied combat, and really challenging bosses. There's a lot to Momodora. You can really get into it and uncover it all. But at the end of the day, it's not too big of a time waster. It's a 7-hour game, but it just makes an impact. Like I said, because it is decently story-driven, you do get a pretty good adventure that hooks you. And that's why some of these games just stay memorable. They stick with you because they look good, and they've got good gameplay, plain and simple.